This is my oil painting uh, station right here, or rather, it's something I bring to conventions. I just recently got it. It's one of those carry things where you have the paints that fold over, a nice deep bundle. This was the size of the glass that I got to work in with the oil paint. But it's too small. It's way too small. So the first thing I had to do was clean this thing off right here. You need one of these. You need a glass scraper, and um, and don't use anything like plexiglass. It won't work. And then I brought along some other things that I dip in my paint with. Usually it's these silicoil things. But if you look in here, this thing is really dirty. And I've got to clean this thing out. And that means there's probably about an inch of sludge in the bottom there. That's where all the stuff goes after you rinse your brush off. So that's what you got to do. It's a real great time. It's the kind of thing you wish you had an apprentice to do, which is what they did in the old days. Some apprentice would come along and do the stuff that the artist didn't want to do. So I'm going to try this one right here. It's got a little net in it, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'll find out because I bought it and I want to see how it works. So we got to clean this stuff off today. Oil paint, as you can see, gets everywhere. You don't want to wear clothes like this, like I'm doing here. You want to wear junk clothes. The other day, something happened that I wanted to talk to you guys about. It involved a friend of mine who services my Xerox machine, and he's been having hard times lately. So he came in, and we couldn't service the machine I used to have that was really good and was really accurate with the color because they don't make the parts anymore. This is something the Xerox industry does, and every industry does, to make sure that we can't get what we had before that was working better. So they replace it with junk that they make today. It is far inferior, and we're supposed to be stuck with it. Well, my Xerox guy, Phil, was telling me all about how he couldn't get parts for the old machine that I liked. So he brought in a new machine, and he felt terrible that it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And it wasn't a big deal to me. I mean, I can adjust the color so that I can get things pretty much looking the way I want. But he came in and he says, "We have to talk." This is the kind of thing I hate when people say, "We got to talk," right? I didn't know what he was going to talk to me about. So we sat down at the couch and he starts telling me how he's lost his identity. He says the Xerox business, or the copy machine business has gotten so bad and so impersonal that he felt like he was losing everything he once had that made him love the industry. And that was his ability to fix machines. And that correlated entirely with my life, which is my ability to draw pictures and paint pictures and draw comics. So little did he know that when he was pouring his heart out and practically in tears about how he felt so bad about what the current business has done to him, and he's lost his identity. His identity was based on how well he could fix machines. Mine was how well I can draw pictures. So I ended up telling him that what he was telling me was exactly what I was going through. And this was like 3 days ago. After that, we had to grab this 400-pound freaking Xerox machine, the new one that I just bought, and we had to haul it upstairs. And that was just a bite and a half. What I learned from that is, and I've brought this up before, people think that life is a straightforward, linear kind of thing, where you wake up every day and you go to work and you do your 8 hours and you come home and life is normal and it stays that way, but it really doesn't stay that way, especially if you're doing something creative, like what we do here, you and us guys here. I felt like 2 days ago my career was over. I was struggling so bad with my pages, and I've never had a reason to doubt my pages, my comic book pages. That was the one thing that never seemed to vary as far as my ability to do it well. Well, 2 days ago it did, and I felt like I was completely washed up. I was seriously scared the other day. In fact, I even, you know how I write these things in my journal? I go to the typewriter and I type out these things and I paste them in my sketchbook for the thoughts that I have at the moment. And the thoughts that I had at the moment that I wrote up were, I don't know how I'm going to survive this. What if I don't know how to do this anymore, or my inspiration's gone, and my willingness to try hard to work on this stuff, I, I don't have an identity anymore. And that's exactly what my Xerox friend Phil was going through. So it was kind of funny that we were both going through the same thing, and we were both scared as hell, and we didn't know what to do about it because nobody knows what to do when you're up against things like this. This is when you realize there's no rule book in life. There's nothing like a rule book, and you have to weather it or fail. Just keep failing. Um, that's always an option. You can just keep losing your will to do something. Um, Nothing says that you have to maintain your standards based on your mental health or your attitude towards things forever, because life doesn't work like that. It changes all the time. And so, like this palette here, I've got to find a way to clean it up and get it back to pristine shape before I can start over again. And I got this pretty well right here, but I need to spray it down a little more and really get it nice and polished. And then I'm going to set it aside and then go back to my station over there with my comic book pages. So let's watch this together. We are all live. This campaign that we're talking about is live. So I'm glad we're all here from the start to watch this thing come about here. So we have a Patreon crew that is already backing this Battle for Thune World Artist Edition. Okay, you know what artist editions? They're big and they're thick and they're bomb proof. So the Patreon crew that we've recruited so far, that is basically a bunch of our backers that really help us out. We used to have 0 Patreon members. Now we've got, how many Patreon members do we have now?
150 paid.
150 paid. Just based entirely on that. We managed to produce $8,000 already. And we've people at Rude Dude, Janelle's company, and Super Little Key, we like to give away giveaways just to incite people to pledge more. So you get a free keychain. Isn't that wonderful? The book we're talking about here, and the reason we're doing this launch here, this artist edition, I think you've seen this before. This is what the book looks like right here. It's huge. It's freaking huge. And it weighs a ton. And it's got 324 pages in it. And it's got everything that you hope to see when you do an artist edition. What you guys want to see is the same thing I'd want to see. I want to see how these things are put together. Back in the 60s and 70s when I was growing up, there was nothing about how to produce comics. It was a secret recipe. And every now and then you would read something about what a penciler does, from inker and a colorist and stuff, and who was the latest superstar artist at the time. But that was all we had. It was like the rock videos back in the 70s. We didn't know what our favorite bands sounded like live because we didn't have any shows like we have today. So we had to stay up till midnight and hopefully catch like the midnight special or whatever the hell's going on at the time. But that's all we had. Nowadays, everybody's got a book like this. It's almost a matter of course, that every book you see now is going to have the preliminary drawings that went into creating the characters and things like that. And the model sheets people think up to invent their various characters with. That's exactly what we're doing ourselves. The only reason I might have more clout over other people is that I've been doing this for 40 freaking years. We end up doing things that we know that have to count. In other words, the quality has to really be there. So we have to hand sew all these books. If you guys have ever seen these books that were done with bonded with glue, you know what I'm talking about. Things just fall apart, all the pages come out in a matter of days or months, and you're stuck with pages that are just floating around, and you can't put it together anymore and re-glue it. It doesn't work like that. So you've got to have a book that's done right from the beginning. So we hand sew it. And I'm told that only a few printers in the world actually do that now. We want to keep the business here in the U.S. But as you guys know, it's very hard to compete with overseas printers. And almost everybody I know, whether they want to or not, they're forced to go overseas, either to China or the Philippines or whatever's going on at the time.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that question.
Okay.
So we reached out to at least 50 different printers. Nobody in the US could print this book because of the 17-inch side. Nobody in Canada, the people we reached out to Canada, referred us to their Asia partners. So right now we're looking at India, Turkey, Thailand, China, and Taiwan.
What about Korea?
They couldn't do it.
Typical. Well, that would be the south of Korea. So that's what we're looking at globally here. It's I mean, you can either spend $1 billion on a outfit in the U.S. that can't even do the work to begin with, or you can go overseas. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. It'll say Nexus newspaper strips for Battle for Thune World. Now, you probably saw the Battle for Thune World in 5 individual comic books that we put out about a year ago. And then we collected them in a soft cover, which is we called it 9 by 12. Now it's going to be a 12 by 16. And that's the size of this book that we're looking here. Here's what we got to get here for our goal. We need to get at least 40,000 bucks. And that gets us the smallest print run possible for the Battle for Thune World.
Yeah, the least expensive print run we could find was $35,000.
But we make no profit off it for 40,000 if we raise that. But at least the book gets printed. So the first community goal, I guess they call it a community goal, is $75,000. And then we're going to donate part of that money. We're involved with this helping the troops out that fight for our country, and we're going to donate a bunch of books to that cause. And I recently got a little thing for the people that the comic books for troops movement. They gave me a little plaque that was very, very flattering. And I'll show you that in a second when I go over there to the drawing board there. So we have a studio edition of the Battle for Thune World, this big thing right here, artist edition. And I'll sign one by hand in the book. I'll sign my name to it. There's a slipcase that comes with the book. It's a Sundra art print. Sundra Peel is the female lead in Nexus. And it's an art print that comes with it. It's signed and numbered. You're going to have your name in the book. And a behind-the-scenes video. What is that all about? How are they going to get a behind-the-scenes video? Do we send that to them or something?
Yeah, that's going to be separate from the early bird one. We're going to do a different behind-the-scenes video that will show us putting the book together more step by step. So it's going to be a kind of a fun behind-the-scenes how this book is coming together. Oh, we have a third backer on the backer train. Thank you.
Okay, good. So slowly but surely, this live stream is enabling people to get on the backer kit train, as they call it. This one here wants to talk about what I've been going through the last 3 weeks. I've been sick for 5 weeks. My mind has been feeling very different. The other day, like I mentioned, when my Xerox repair guy came in, we were both commiserating over losing our identities. Mine with my drawing, I felt like I emptied my brain completely and I had nothing left. And I lost the ability to do type pencils. That's been going on for a couple of years now, and I don't understand why it is. So, but I'm still here. I'm still drawing. I guess this is standard procedure right here when you close the backer kit fundraising deal. Share the link, tell a friend, and if you like what we do, hit subscribe. Okay. So I've got this clean right here, and I've got this new thing I'm going to try for cleaning my brushes. It's got a little coil in there, or a little aluminum net of some kind. So we're going to move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to take me and my filthy hands, and I'm going to walk over to the new drawing board here. Now, as you can sometimes see right here, I've completely moved everything from my desk, and I rearranged everything, which is something I want to do every now and then, just to change things up. This is not what you've been seeing in the last couple of years here. My setup has been transferred to a sideways compartment here. This is the word that the good people from the comic book for kids presented to me. They obviously put some time and money into this thing because it's not just a piece of paper. It's just something they spent a lot of time on. So very flattering. These are the guys we always want to support when it comes to these various fundraisers that we see. Um, when we try to raise money for our various projects, because that's what this is all about. We do projects, we fundraise through you guys. We try to get this Patreon thing involved, and those are people that are above and beyond the donators that really keep the things alive and keep us financially solvent. Now, a lot of you guys like to see that what I'm working on. Well, remember I was talking about how I completely lost it the other day. Well, this is the page where I completely lost it right here. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to construct the figures. I wasn't sure about the storytelling. I worked this part out. I thought that was kind of unique, but the rest of the stuff, I kind of fell flat. And of course, that sent me into kind of a tailspin about what am I going to do? I mean, if I don't have this, I don't have a life, and I don't have an identity. Today I woke up and I was trying to figure out. I actually Googled some stuff on YouTube about what do you do when you have no inspiration left and you feel like you've lost it. Well, there was nothing on this subject on that stuff. There's nothing there at all. It's just junk. Um, so I started to get a few books out from my library here. One of them was something I remembered from a long time ago. It was Norman Rockwell's book about his adventures as an illustrator. And in that book, he talks about the very thing that a lot of us go through at some point in our lives, which is we feel like it's not fun anymore. Um, the fun that we originally had doing this stuff seems to have deserted us, and we don't know how to deal with that because this is our lives. Uh, Painting pictures was Rockwell's life, and so what he ended up doing was nothing fancy, nothing spectacular. He just bore down and kept doing it. He'd get up every day and he'd put his 8 hours in, and eventually it works itself out. Well, this is the page that I did today that I'm kind of excited about, actually. So out of nothing, I produced this page right here, blocked it in, and I think I got the things down to a point where I think I'm happy with it. But this is I don't know how this thing is going to go. Nobody knows this kind of stuff. It's up in the air. It changes all the time. I've seen artists, the greatest artists I've ever known, completely go backwards in life. They started out great, and their art after 20 or 30 years was like a pale comparison to what it was originally. And I don't wish that on anybody, but it is a fact that people go through this stuff sometimes. Um, One of the things I did to help myself get oriented again for the book that I'm working on, Nexus Return to Earth, is to paste up all my pages that I've done so far and look at it in terms of broad continuity. And I added a bunch of pages in there to flesh the story out, and those were added like in pages like this right here. So I needed to assemble the entire book to know where I was going from. This is how I warm up in the mornings here, and I haven't wanted to do that lately. But if Rockwell goes through this stuff, the greatest living illustrator, and it's probably going to be something that a lot of us go through in our lifetime. There's no rules for this stuff. And because there's no rules, we don't know where to go with it when it happens to us. But I felt different this morning, and I woke up feeling bad, and then I looked into some of my my resources, my books, and like I said, one of them was the Norman Rockwell book, and he talks about what he went through, and it was identical to what myself was going through, and my Xerox machine guy Phil. Same thing. Um, there was a time when we had literally nobody supporting us, and that's when we got on social media and said we have to get more people backing us, because if we don't, we can't even afford to even publish these books. So it seemed to light a fire under people's buttocks, and from that point on, like a month ago, we've actually had people um, um, getting it together and pledging stuff, which enabled us to keep going. Um, the operation we have in the garage, my drawing board where all this stuff comes from, um, we were able to keep going with it. Um, it's a funny thing too that all these people are resorting to this method right now of maintaining their finances. It's something that's still new to me. I mean, I'm used to working for the companies and getting a paycheck after that. Um, always doing my best work no matter what. And just recently, that is kind of that paradigm has changed over the years. Now we're looking at stuff where we're supported by fans, and thank God we have them, because that enables us to obviously keep going. There's nothing tricky about it. It's just something we all need to do, and support to keep us alive and keep us working.
So I'm going to interrupt. We now have 10 on the backer train, and if you look on your iPad, you can see how much we've raised and how many are on the train. And we can say thank you to Barry, Brian Berkey, KGE82, Cliff Leong, Paul Crackman, Brian Dolder, Jan V, Felipe, and Eric Gomez for their pledges today.
So we're up to almost 10 grand in pledges, right? So we're looking for 40. That's the minimum we can raise just to print the book. But you guys are stepping it up here, and then of course that means the world to people like the Rude family, because this is my life, and I want to keep doing it. So we'll keep doing this drawing right here, but that's basically what we're going to get done today. This is how I warm up in the morning and kind of get
We went
myself.
over 10,000.
We have over 10 grand.
Yep, with an
So-
11th backer.
I don't know what you guys are. Why you guys donating so much money here? This is very unusual. I mean, you guys are really coming together with this stuff.
Yeah, so thank you to Sanjay Varma for pushing us over. And if I'm remembering correctly, he is from Singapore.
Wow. Yeah, we get people all around the world that are donating stuff. It's a global world and has been for a long time, ever since the internet came along. I actually have, I'm just responsible for doing the books, drawing the books, making sure that you guys, when you get the book, it's something that we put our stamp on, and the purpose of me doing this stuff is not just for me, my personal satisfaction. It's for entertaining guys that buy these things, which are very expensive nowadays, and making sure that when you read these things, you get the kind of feedback internally that I got from all the comic books that I grew up reading and loving. And even though I've been sick for 5 weeks now, I still plan on just bearing down and getting through it. And I'll be here every day. So thanks so much for you guys for rallying like this. It's kind of a new experience for us to have this kind of support. It certainly hasn't been that way in the past. But something seems to have changed, and I don't know exactly what takes place. I don't think anyone knows exactly why these changes can take place, but this is my life. We keep Flowhard in a lot of kibble and milk bones because of your pledges, and you keep me getting art supplies. I actually got a recent bunch of brushes I just ordered for $100, and I'm going to use these to find out the best inking brush that I can use for my books nowadays. I'm really excited about seeing what kind of brush is good for inking, because there's They don't make the sables anymore the way they used to. They don't. The Windsor Newtons are pretty bad. They're coming from sable farms, and you cannot get the right kind of spring from the hares from a farm because it's warm and you need sables to come from the coldest place on earth, believe it or not. And then they find these sables and pluck their poor tails dry for us to have brushes. Well, we're no longer doing this, so the sables are going to be are going to replenish themselves and get their tails back the way they want them. In the meantime, this is my new setup right here. I'm kind of excited about it. I think that's all I have to say for today. I'm going to finish this drawing right here. You can see the way I block things in. I should at least try to figure the hand out. Hands are, there's these things, these four things that come out and something on the side. This is gripping the side of the building here. Kirby was so good at these kind of gestures. Kirby has always been the man for me. And that's because of the time that I grew up and the books that were popular at the time. And that's where it all came from. You've got whatever time you're born dictates a lot of what you end up being excited about and turning your own life into, based on the people that are doing it at the time that you're in your youth and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, and you think comic books are really cool, and you'll eventually want to break into the field. Whatever the field is doing at the time, it changes all the time. It's changed, God knows, a lot in the last 40 years when I've been working in it. I still work every day in this stuff, and I still love it in spite of the setbacks that I went into earlier. You just got to work through it, guys. And if anyone else is going through the same thing that I was mentioning earlier, I'm here to tell you that there are ways around everything. And I just found one by looking at the Rockwell book earlier, knowing that Norman Rockwell went through the exact same thing that so many people go through in their lifetime, because life is a merry-go-round. It's a roller coaster. It goes up and down all the time. You never know where it's going to end. You never know when you're going to get off. You're never going to know if you want to throw up at the end of the ride, or be so excited you want to get on the ride again. You just don't know. But we keep trying to forge through this stuff right here, and that's what I'm gonna promise you guys that I'll be doing. Is just forging through things. Thanks for tuning in. I don't have a whole lot more to say. And all this stuff you see here and all these supplies, that comes from you guys, so I can do my work. And when we get more pledges, then I'm going to order some more of these colored inks, because I'm really getting into this stuff. I want to see how I can use colored inks from now on. This is FW ink. It's colored ink. I want to try color inks because they're permanent. And if you want to know the guys that really turned me on to this kind of technique, it was Albert Dorn and Robert Fawcett, two great illustrators in the 40s.
Why do you like that over like Phil Martin's?
Oh, I'm getting 20 questions here, huh? I just like them. All you need to do is have a quality name brand, and it doesn't matter. As long as it's professional stuff and doesn't have a lot of fillers, which makes it student grade, you're going to be okay. I've got a root beer here that I want to finish. This is definitely going to help my spirits lift here. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. I'm going to get back to work. I'll see you later.